Lagos never truly sleeps. Even in the dead of the night, the city hums with distant growl of generators, the occasional whoop of a police siren, and the muffled buzz of a club that refuses to close. But on Odayemi Street, where Chiamaka moved into her new apartment, the nights were different. They weren't noisy, they weren't peaceful either. They were watchful. From the moment she carried her first box up the staircase, she felt it, a subtle prickle on the back of her neck, as though the building itself had opened its eye to study her. The apartment was nothing fancy, just a bedroom, a cramped kitchen, and a living room just wide enough to fit her second-hand sofa. The rent was suspiciously low for a place in this part of Surulere. But Chiamaka, she didn't question it. She was tired of commuting from her aunt's house in Aja and desperate for her own space. The caretaker, a stocky man with the kind of smile that never reached his eyes, handed her the keys with a warning she thought was just a joke. Keep to yourself, he said, his voice unusually flat, and don't disturb the woman upstairs. Chiamaka left nervously. What was that supposed to mean? He didn't answer. She first saw the neighbor 2 nights later. It was past 2 a.m. and Chiamaka couldn't sleep. She had gone to the kitchen to make tea when she heard a soft humming drifting through the ceiling, a low, lifting melody, haunting yet beautiful. Out of curiosity, she stepped into the hallway. That's when she saw her. A woman in a long, flowing wrapper and shimmering blue stood barefoot at the top of the stairs, hair cascading in wet, black waves down her back. Her skin gleamed as if lit from within, and her eyes, they were dark, too dark, swallowing the weak yellow light from the corridor bulb. She didn't blink, she didn't smile. She only stared at Chiamaka for a long, breathless moment before gliding back into her apartment without a sound. Over the next week, Chiamaka noticed things. The upstairs tap ran at odd hours, always in the middle of the night. A faint scent of salt water lingered in the storeway each morning, like the ocean had passed through the building. And sometimes, just before dawn, she would hear splashes, not just drips of a leaky tap, but the heavy chum of water deep enough to swim in. One Saturday, she saw her again, this time in daylight. The woman was standing outside by their shared clothesline, draping an endless length of white fabric over the rope. She moved slowly, deliberately, her long fingers smoothing each crease as though the clothes were something sacred. When Chiamaka greeted her, the woman turned her head, not her body, just her head, and she said in a voice like a ripple across the water, "You should keep your curtains closed at night." Then she smiled, but it wasn't friendly, it was knowing. Before we continue this thrilling story, do me a quick favor if you are new here. Hit that subscribe button to join our growing family of story lovers. You don't want to miss what happens next. 3 nights later, Amaka woke up to a sound that didn't belong in her apartment. The slow, deliberate drag of something wet across the tiles. Her heart slammed in her chest. She lay frozen, listening. The sound grew closer, moving from the kitchen toward her bedroom door. Summoning every scrap of courage she had, she reached for her phone, turned on the flashlight. The light caught something in the doorway. Bare feet, bare webbed feet. Her scream never made it past her lips. The figure slipped back into the darkness, leaving behind a trail of damp, salty water on the floor. The next morning, Chiamaka confronted the caretaker. He avoided her eyes, muttering something about ancient debt and keeping balance. She didn't understand, not fully, until she saw the neighbor again that evening. She was standing in the corridor, head dripping onto the concrete, eyes glittering like obsidian. "You shouldn't fight what you don't understand," she whispered, stepping closer. "The sea always takes back what it has." For the first time, Chiamaka noticed the faint outline of scales shimmering along her arms, catching the light like wet silver. That night, Chiamaka didn't sleep. She packed her bags quietly, avoiding every creak of the floorboards. Just before dawn, she slipped out from the front door, her suitcase wheels rattling around the pavement. As she reached the junction, she glanced back. The woman was at the top of the stairs, watching her, and at the same time, unblinking stare. Behind her, the shadows seemed to shift like waves in the deep water. She didn't call out, she didn't move, she only smiled, and it was the last thing Chiamaka saw before she turned to the corner and never came back. But sometimes late at night, at her new apartment, Chiamaka swears she hears it again. The sound of the water splashing in the walls. Tell me, if it were you, would you knock on that neighbor's door? Moral of this story: not all beauty is meant to be admired. Some doors, once opened, can never be closed. Bye.